in touch with anybody from college.
Yes, can you give me the number?
Hey everyone, this video is a little bit different than what I was expecting. Last night I did a 25-minute video of me just talking, and it was about something quite serious, and it was actually quite cathartic to be able to talk about it. And then lo and behold, I go to see the video back, there's no sound. Okay, so as any good person would do when they are put in a position where they've got something that doesn't seem to be working properly, I threw it in the bin. So what you're hearing me through, unfortunately, probably in very bad audio, is just the microphone on my phone, which I'm recording this on. I have got a new microphone that's coming today. So hopefully going forward, that will be better. But no, unfortunately, that microphone is now in the great bin in the sky. Because I'm sick to death of doing quite long videos. I need to listen to it back and there's no sound. Even though before I recorded it, I tested it out and then there was sound. Miraculous that, hey. I'm just going to go over kind of the things that I was talking about in that video. I did actually make a list for that video because the whole purpose of it was going to be me talking about how I've been affected in the last week. I just took a period of time, the last week, and how I've been affected in various ways because of my weight. And so I just wanted to use this as an opportunity just to sort of give an idea as to what it's like to be overweight, to be fat, and how it's affected me in different ways. Now, I haven't got that list with me at the moment, so I'm going to try and recall as much as I can from it. And even as I said on that particular video, it isn't an extensive list. There would have been a lot more things that would have happened and situations that I would have gone in and found myself in, but you got to stop somewhere. Okay. So I'm just going to go through how my life was affected by my weight negatively. I'm not going to, certainly wasn't positive, any of it. But before I go any further, if you want to like and subscribe, by all means do so. Yeah, I've been sort of following some really good channels on here with people who are various stages of Mounjaro in terms of the progress that they're making. And it's really good to see that some people on here are doing fantastic content, which is showing just exactly how the medication works, how it's working for them, any side effects, the weight that they've lost, which is amazing. I mean, that's the whole point of everything to do with this. And so, yeah, so you know, if you like to follow my journey as well, we're still waiting for the Mounjaro to come through. Then by all means, like and subscribe. But enough of that. Let me just go straight into it. So what has affected me in terms of the weight this week? The first thing I wanted to mention was that last weekend, we celebrated my youngest daughter's birthday. And it was a lovely day. It was a lovely day. I've got two daughters. Their birthdays are quite close together. So what we did was we did a big sort of surprise present that was going to be for both of them. And we decided that we was going to do it on the youngest's birthday so that the oldest daughter didn't have any kind of, oh, I haven't got anything, because you know what kids are like. And so because it was a big surprise, we, my other half, recorded it. And the thing is, it was such an exciting moment and it was so lovely, but at the same time, all I could have in my head was, I bet I look horrendous on that video. I bet I look awful. And that's not something I should have been thinking about. I should have been more in the moment about how exciting it was. And that's all I kept thinking. I said, I bet that I look like a big fat blob sitting there with the kids. I then obviously saw the video because I wanted to see the kids' reactions, and then I'm looking at myself going, oh, look at you, and quite ashamed really. And it's horrible to feel like that, and I hate to think about them looking back at it in time and thinking, wow, look how big Dad is, and that's not on. I didn't. And obviously, you know, they're at an age where they're young, so they like to play. And because, just to sort of recap on something that I was talking about in the video that didn't have any sound, obviously I've been recently diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis. So it's a form of arthritis. It's self-immune. So it's, in other words, my body's attacking itself. So it's creating this arthritis, and arthritis comes hand in hand with lots of pain. So I'm in pain, and the weight is making it worse. And it's I'm not going to say it's just the arthritis, the weight is making it worse. And so therefore they're wanting to play, and I'm doing my best, but then I'm also thinking I'm in pain and there's only so much I can do. And it just makes me feel like they're being shortchanged of how it should be with their playing with their dad. And I feel like I'm letting them down, and I'm letting myself down. So that was one. It was a big event, but that was one certainly big thing that was affected negatively by my weight. The second thing that I was talking about was, it sounds simple, but if you are overweight and certainly obese, morbidly obese like myself, getting in and out of cars. Okay, now this one isn't too bad because it's quite a reasonably large entrance, a doorway, so to say. So, but you know, there's still this sort of feeling not only of the pain, but you know, you're reminded every time you're in and out of cars that you're overweight, because you know, like my gut will hit the steering wheel, I'll hit this side chassis bit as I'm getting out. I'm tall anyway, so then I just feel like I'm cramped in here. And so even if you're having a reasonably good day, you're being constantly reminded you're overweight, you're overweight, you're overweight, just by getting in and out of a car. My other half, her car is more modern and fancy and sleek than mine. So whilst this is quite boxy, hers is more sloped. And it's so awkward, and I feel like an invalid getting in and out of it. And there's been a couple of times where I've had to do it. And it's just, I dread getting in and out of it because it's so horrible and painful, and a big reminder of how big you are. Just as simple as getting in and out of a car. It's absolutely ridiculous. So obviously I've had a lot of times this week where I've had to get in and out of the car, and it's just a reminder of me. The next one that I wanted to talk about, and it links in with the car, is for my work this week, I've had to do several what we call site visits to go see people. And it's the kind of industry where we work in where you have to wear a suit. So I have to wear a suit. And so, of course, it's a very large suit that looks very large as well. And as I've put on more and more weight, I'm realizing that my very large suit is also now starting to get quite tight. So I've got a waistcoat, I've got a shirt, and I can already start to feel it's becoming it's quite tight. I then feel like I've got a straight jacket on, so I feel quite restricted. And then, of course, I'm going to go meet people, and then all I'm thinking in my head is they must be going, oh my God, look at the size of this guy. You know, look at this fat bloke. And it's horrible because I'm there to just be me, to help out for work, to meet people. And I want to be in a position where I can just go in somewhere and it's, hi, are you right? Yeah, hi, yeah, come in, you know. And whether they're thinking it or not, I know too well that there'll be people thinking, you know, Christ, look at the size of him, you know, and I don't want that as something that people think when they see me. I can't help height, so I mean, I know I go on about my height. I'm not like basketball player height. I'm 6'3", so I'm quite tall. So I'd just rather that be the thing that they notice, that I'm just tall, rather than tall and wide and huge. And so you get quite self-conscious when you're going in, and you realise you've got a suit on, and it's almost like I feel like I'm like, you know, you're trying to put a suit on a turd, basically. You just don't look right. You don't look like, I want to be able to put on a normal size suit that fits nicely. I don't feel restricted. So I see people who are a decent weight and they wear a suit and you can just see it looks natural and looks smart. Whereas I look like, you know, putting a suit on a balloon. And I hate it. And I hate the feeling of, you know, I wonder what they're going to be thinking. And then what are they going to be saying once I've gone, you know? So that's been something else. Likewise, something else which seems trivial, and it is trivial to someone who's a normal weight, is getting up and down stairs. Now, my house has got stairs. There's no getting away from the fact that I've got to go upstairs. I mean, my bedroom's upstairs. I have bits and pieces upstairs. But I'm finding myself more and more getting to the position of when something has to be taken upstairs or I need to go upstairs for a reason, I'm putting it off, because for a normal person, it's just going up the stairs and then just coming down again. For me, it's more of an effort, purely because of the pain that comes with going up the stairs and the getting out of the breath. So I feel like, you know, I've done something quite strenuous just going up the stairs. And it's not enjoyable. So therefore I put it off. But because I'm then putting it off, I'm then not doing it. So I'm not in a position where I'd ever say, no, I'm not going to go upstairs, because I can't just live downstairs. And I still want to be active. But it shouldn't be how it is for me to just go up some stairs. Okay. And yeah, and so I, you know, this week I've obviously had to go up and down the stairs quite a few times. And every time I do it, again, I'm reminded of how unfit I am, how overweight I am, how much in pain I am. And that's something that I think people take for granted. It's just simple things like going up and down stairs, which then leads me on nicely to the next point that I want to mention about something that's people take for granted. And that was what's happened this week is I've had to do a fair bit of walking. Okay. So just yesterday I was on a site visit, and I was with one of my colleagues, and we were walking along, and of course she's talking away to me. Well, of course I'm struggling to sort of keep up, because she's going at a pace and I'm trying to keep up. I'm getting out of breath, and I'm trying to maintain a conversation, and I'm sure probably some of you who are overweight will recognize with this and relate to this. Trying to talk and walk is quite difficult, because I'm trying to suck in breath to try, and because I'm starting to get a bit sweaty, I'm starting to sort of feel like I'm exhausted, and keeping up the conversation. So I'll get halfway through a sentence, and I notice that I'd then be like, you know, and then have to finish off the second half of the sentence. And of course, then I'm thinking, well, what the hell is my colleague talking about? Not talking about how was my colleague thinking? You know, and then I'm feeling frustrated at myself because I'm struggling to talk and struggling to walk at the same time. And it is something that people take for granted, just going for a walk. And I would imagine this must be how people who are physically disabled would look at people and go, you have no idea how easy you have it. But then they would look at me and go, well, if you just lost some, at least if you lost some weight, you'd still be able to bloody walk. So you've got no excuse. But I think people just go, well, just go for a walk. That's not as simple as it is for some people. That for others, it's an ordeal. And I will put off walking because I don't like feeling uncomfortable. I don't like feeling out of breath. I don't like being in pain. But then the more I do that, the less active I am. So I know this is going to be something that I would have to change. Something else that I mentioned was, and this was something that I said in the video that I was humming and hawing about mentioning, but I think it's quite important because this is going to be very much a warts and all kind of channel. The bigger I'm getting, the harder I'm finding it is for me to clean myself. I don't have baths purely because I don't really fit in the bath. Or if I do, I don't feel like I'm properly cleaning myself. I don't feel like I'm submerged in water and washing. So I always have showers. I mean, the debate is there. I mean, people say showers are cleaner anyway. So but the thing is, I have to have showers. I can't choose to have a bath. I have to have a shower. But the problem is that I'm finding it harder to bend. And so I'm spending longer in the shower because I'm really self-conscious, because the thing I've always tried to pride myself on is that I'm clean. And I always have been, and I've always wanted to make sure that I am. But I then feel so embarrassed and shameful that I'm finding it harder to clean myself. I still do it. I still make sure I am doing it, but I'm finding it's getting harder because of the trying to bend forward, trying to reach. I've got a lot of problems pain-wise in my shoulders, so therefore trying to reach places, I'm then fighting against restriction in my shoulders and pain. And it's embarrassing. And again, you're reminded again and again of just how overweight you are. And I feel so ashamed at the fact that I find it difficult to clean myself. One of the basic things that you should be able to do. I'm just glad at the moment I'm still in a position where I can do it, and I am clean, and I am a clean person, and I will always say that. But the fact that it's becoming harder to do it, to just do that task, is something that is, even on its own, would be a reason why I'd want to lose weight. Because I'm not having that. I'm not being one of those, oh, they're overweight, so they're also dirty as well and unclean. No, not at all. I'm not having that. That then moves on to something else as well that I mentioned, which was the fact that I think I wrote it down as tatty clothing. Basically, when you're my size, when you are very big, there's two things at play here. One, it's harder to get clothes that fit or clothes that you like. There's a lot more places online now than there used to be that sort of sell plus size clothing, but that then leads on to point two. They tend to be more expensive, more material, more cost. Okay. And then you got to then also bear in mind the fact that people, yeah, they might be overweight, but they also want to have nice clothing as well. And you'll look at a lot of the clothing and think, nah, things like Hawaiian shirts and things like that. And I'm like, no, that's not me. So you end up I tend to wear the same few clothes over and over again, because once I've found something that I'm comfortable in, I keep it. And I just haven't got the money to just be able to go and buy a new wardrobe of clothing. And so I end up getting like the clothes, they get faded, they get tatty. And then if I'm going to buy something, it's not very often, but then I'll get one new thing, and then that then gets worn to bloody smithereens as well. And I don't like that, because if I was a normal size, I would be wearing lots of different clothing, different styles and so on, because I remember when I was thin, and that was a point, believe me, I haven't always been like this. I would wear lots of different things, and I just get sad that I feel like a slob because I'm wearing the same sort of things all the time. But unfortunately, I just can't afford to keep buying lots of big clothing. And there's not an awful lot of the big clothing that I like. And, you know, and you look at the pictures of it on people who, you know, maybe not quite as overweight as me. And then I put it on myself and go, oh yeah, look nice on them. Not so much on me though. And I do get self-conscious about it, because I don't like sticking out so much as I do. But yeah, that was something else I was mentioning. I think there were other things on the list, but I just haven't got that list with me today. And I just wanted to use this opportunity whilst I'm in my car to re-record this, just to go over certain things, because I want people to hear something from somebody who's in this situation, about what it's like to live a life like this. Because you hear about the big things, but you don't hear so much about the sort of the trivial day-to-day things that are affected negatively by being overweight. And it can be the most simple things, it can be the most basic things. That's another thing I was going to mention. I remembered it was on my list. Sleep. Don't sleep very well. Okay. Now there's various reasons for this. One is because of the pain. So because of the arthritis, because of other pain, I don't sleep very well. But then a lot of that is because of the weight, because the weight is pressing down on my joints and bones and stuff like that. And so therefore I end up in a lot of pain. I'm not a back sleep. I can't sleep on my back. Even when I was thin, I've never been able to be someone who sleeps on my back. So I either sleep on my front or I sleep on my side. More often than not, I'm on my side. But then the weight is then pushing into my shoulders. It's then pushing into my hips and my back. And so whilst I have no problem getting to sleep, it's staying asleep I have the issues with. So I'll be asleep for an hour, wake up, go back to sleep, be asleep for a couple of hours, wake up, go to sleep for another hour, wake up again. And so by the time it's time to get up, I'm exhausted. And what makes it worse as well is that I'm also on medication for depression. But it's a type of medication that one of the side effects of it is what we call very intense lucid dreams. So I'll have this really intense dream that feels like it's going in real time, and it feels like it lasts forever. And then I'll wake up and it's been like an hour. Then I'll go back to sleep, and then I'll have another one. And so coupled in with the fact that I keep waking up and these really intense dreams where a lot goes on, and I'm both then physically and mentally exhausted by the time I get up, and then I've got to do my day's work or whatever it is I need to do. And so that's something that really doesn't help, because if you don't sleep well, you're not very good mentally. It doesn't allow your body to have proper time to heal itself. And I'm not someone who wants to go on sleeping tablets. I don't want to become addicted to that kind of thing. I want to be able to sleep naturally. I have no problem sleeping. It's just staying asleep. And hopefully with the weight that comes off, which it will do, I'm going to make sure about that. Hopefully that then helps my sleep, because then that should have a good series of knock-on effects with everything else in my life. But yeah, so I just want to give you that little run through. The next video I'm going to be doing is obviously when I go to do my actual first injection. So I'm going to run through the things that came in the pack when it comes through. And I will be recording my first injection. Okay. I'm not the greatest of fans with needles, but I do want to do this because I want to show everyone what it's like to do your first one, what it's like for me to do my first one. Yeah, you will have to see a bit of flab, unfortunately, so spoiler warning. But that's what I'm going to be doing next. But I just wanted to use this interim period just to sort of go through something that's quite serious, and hopefully that people on here, if maybe, I mean, this is really actually then a call out to you. So if you have your own issues that are affected, maybe think about in the last week, what's affected you because of your weight. Things that might have been different than what I've said, put it in a comment or message me, because there's a lot of us that are in the same boat, and we tend to think about the same sort of things that being overweight makes it difficult to do, but it's the little things that get overlooked. So I'm quite interested to hear what you guys say about it. But like I said at the start, get in touch. If you want to subscribe, you can. And I'm just looking forward to just sharing my journey with you, and to keep on watching other people's journeys, because there seems to be an awful lot of people who are going through this, and it's going very well. So that's given me lots of hope and promise, and hopefully we can get this pain and some of the other issues under control. Okay. But in the meantime, take care of yourself. I will be up again soon, showing you the new package and me injecting myself. But take care of yourself. Leave me a message if you want to, and I'll see you soon.